looking on the global uncertainties, macroeconomic challenges, and of course the overall geopolitical situation, I think it is fair to say that there are some cautioning remarks also in the guidance that if the China lockdown is actually going to spread far into the second half of the year, and if more than just a few or a couple of provinces will finally be affected, that might have an impact on our numbers, but that is not the current scenario of our assumptions. On the other hand, when we look on elevated freight, logistics costs, as well as energy costs, we think that those costs will remain on a high level for the end or until the end of the year. But at the same time, we feel well prepared actually to counter those cost increases with own disciplined cost management and also selective price increases wherever possible.
Yeah, very interesting, Markus, the line where you talk about trying to offset some of the impact from Chinese restriction on manufacturing by moving to a more e-commerce focused model. Could you just unpack that for us? What does that actually mean?
There's not much rocket science behind it. We have made, I think, a lot of experiences during the last 2 years when we experienced partially hard lockdowns in the COVID times. You know, it started some 2 years ago in Asia. The second quarter 2020 was heavily affected in the US and Europe, or was heavily affecting US and Europe. So we had a lot of learnings, we made our experiences, and we know that those kind of digital go-to-market models work. We have a well-functioning e-commerce platform in life science where we already route today a major part of our sales through. So that is, I would say, a natural countermeasure that we just revitalize in case that the lockdown scenario is going more tough.
Markus, I just stumbled across a figure in the results today, a fairly stunning 26.6% bounce in organic growth. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about here, the oncology franchise. Just give us a sense as to why growth is so strong in that area, and will it continue from here?
So there are two components actually which have driven this 27% organic increase on oncology. First and foremost, it is our newly launched product Bavencio, which has basically doubled sales compared to the first quarter 2021. So we have seen 102% increase here. At the same time, the second contributor was our established product Erbitux, which also grew by almost 10% organically. And here I think a major driver was a more recent achievement that we have been entering the NRDL in China with Erbitux in the indication of head and neck cancer. So that was also obviously a growth driver. If we look forward, we believe that we will continuously see Erbitux growing on the one hand, maybe not 10% every quarter, but we are confident that we'll see further growth going forward. And we are very optimistic that Bavencio remains a growth driver for oncology, but also for healthcare, for the entire sector, for the next couple of quarters, actually.
Markus, if we can just dig into the electronics business sector, it feels as though you've got some of the usual suspects here that other sectors are facing too, the margin pressure, inflation and raw material costs. Just to unpick that for us, what are you seeing and what do you anticipate in coming months?
Yeah, so the anticipation is actually an ongoing pressure on certain P&L lines from the effects that you rightly mentioned. So to be a little bit more precise, in the first quarter, we have seen elevated raw material prices in certain areas which are important for us. So for example, oil-based solvents as one example. We have seen on top of that, pretty much elevated freight and logistics costs, as well as high energy costs. And actually, we expect all these developments and factors to prevail for the next couple of quarters, so definitely until year end. The good news, however, is that this is somewhat baked into our guidance. So high pricing levels on these input costs will not come as a surprise. And we are thinking about a lot of countermeasures in order actually to safeguard margins and to deliver the guidance that you have seen today.